sharing the word of the Lord with you all. I am Whitney Britton, and I am here with your announcements for today. Um, we know that the lives are indeed led by Prophet Monica Boney. We have had incredible far. She has been preaching on the topic of hurt, and last week she talked about the father in depth, in the family unit, and the father and him consoling and him leading his family, and she really went in depth about biblical characters who are men and men characteristics that could be portrayed over into the family unit. Good characteristics from Abraham and good characteristics from Adam. I mean, it was just incredible. You can always go back and watch the previous video if you would like more information on that. But tonight we are getting ready to go live, and we also have a prayer line, Gyre Ministry International, at 5:30 a.m. each and every morning. So if you would like to join us, as always, it will be down below the information, the access code to get in, and the number to get in will be down below in the comment section. If this word blesses you, I know I have been getting blessed. Please type amen. Please type that's a word. Please type your takeaways, or you can give by Cash App, Monica 8, or you can also give through Zelle as well, multitalented8 at gmail.com. So we pray that this word blesses you on tonight. We pray that you take away all that is poured out, and let's get started. Let's get started.
So, greetings, salutations. Hello, everyone. Hallelujah. I pray that you've had a wonderful weekend and a beautiful Sunday on yesterday. And I pray that your hearts are light. And if there's any residue or pain or anything that's present, I pray that as we discuss some areas, that you will become strengthened. Um, Not only does it bless you, hopefully, I know it blesses me to obey God and to speak about the one that we all love and the one that we are to serve. And our life becomes fulfilled when we're able to do what God would have us do. So, I have been talking about hurt and pain. I have been talking about how one of the main thing I want us to take from the presentation is that as long as we are looking to blame other people for what has happened to us, we're going to have a slow boat to healing. It's not going to happen. We have to look on the inside and look at ourselves and ask God, God, what do I need to do so that this won't occur and so that I won't perpetuate it in my bloodline? What do I need to do? Let me look at myself. And that is something that's sometimes difficult because we are comfortable in blaming other people for why we are the way we are. And I don't want to say I don't think that other people have some influence in that matter. I am not saying that, but I am saying in order to get well, there's an ownership that has to be taken, an ownership that we have to do ourselves so that God can work in our hearts. Remember, He is the only one who can change the heart of the king. I could be mad at you or anyone else for as long as I want to be, but that will not change that person's heart or that person's disposition, and neither will it change what I feel on the inside. So it is my strong encouragement to see, look at self. Okay, how long am I going to drink poison and hope that someone else dies? How long am I going to ache and pain about a situation that happened some time ago? And then what is it that's in my future? One time I was went to see a counselor, and he asked me to count backwards. And at that moment in time, I could not count backwards. I could do it now 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But when he asked me to do that at that time, I couldn't do it. And I'm not sure why, other than there was some emotional debacle going on that didn't allow the flow. But when he said, "Now you have to think about the future, the future, and what's going forward," and so that is why we have to let go the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so that we can see and move to the future. And as moderator said to you earlier, on last week, I did talk about the Father, and I talked about aspects of the Father from a biblical concept. But there's something I want to interject because we were having a conversation earlier. I love talking to my daughter. A lot of times she has mindsets and thoughts that provoke other things in my mind. But she said something about I'm not about a parent. What happens if the parent doesn't see anything? Do you mind helping me saying what you said? Do you mind?
Um, are you saying not blaming the parent
Mhm.
for whatever traumatic experience that had transpired in their lives? Yeah.
And you said if they weren't spiritual, then they couldn't.
Oh yeah, that if they're not spiritual, they don't have the opportunity, or that the opportunity is present to protect, but because the spirituality piece isn't there, it makes the child vulnerable.
Okay. And so this is the part I want to tag into that. That's absolutely correct. However, good parenting in outside of the Christian world, outside of the belief system that we adhere to, is good parenting. Good parenting is protecting. Good parenting is being aware of what's going on with your child. Good parenting is open communication. So, if open communication is present, whether there's a spiritual inclination present or not, you can still be aware of what's going on with your child and say, "You can't go to Johnny's house and spend the night." No, you're not allowed to go out with Mary Mack or whomever, because it's a standard that is set. And that's the part I want to illuminate today, because what I don't want anybody who accidentally listens to it or on purpose listens to this now or later to feel that this is a bashing, because there's no gain in bashing anything or anybody. The goal is to expose the error so that we can be better. And that is what I love about the Word of God. When I read it, it exposes my weaknesses. And I don't feel bad about it because He's God. And if He's showing me what's wrong, I'm like, okay, thank you, Daddy. Now help me to get it fixed, because I don't want to be. You said that I was created in your image and your likeness. So please hear. Nobody is on this platform will ever come to bash or to make another person feel less than. It is to expose the weaknesses, to gain strength so that we can become better, and we can be better citizens, better pastors, better leaders, better teachers, better beauticians, better whatever we choose to do. We're better because we're whole and missing nothing. So I am just going to talk to you today because I did a lot of studying, and last week I feel like I just inundated you with so much information. But I wanted to look at women that are mothers in the Bible. And as I was studying, I was really surprised at how many women that were barren. Okay, hint for those women who can have children, please be the best you could be, because there are so many women who want to have babies, but they cannot. They cannot. And so that is some of the things I observed as I was studying today. How many of the women in biblical times could not have babies? They wanted to, but they couldn't. Okay, so if you a godmother, or you a auntie, or you a sister's friend, or whomever you are, don't take that lightly, because that's a powerful position. And to have a baby and to bring forth a child when many are struggling to get it done, it's an honor. So mothers that are being slothful in their duties, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. It's such an honor to be a mother. It's an honor to be a mother. And when you are a good mother, you can look back at your labor and you'll say, wow, look what I did, me and God, in the help of Father. Look what I did. And so this is some of the pain. A lot of times the women that I talk to, they're hurting because they didn't have good fathers. But I talked to some women who are hurting because they didn't have good mothers. I talked to some men who are hurting because their father never came home. I talked to some men who's I started to show you this video today. Well, this man just came out and said that his mother was terrible to him and that she was a drug dealer and she left all of the children in the house and went found another apartment to stay with another man and left the kids there. And the maintenance man came, and at 3 months she hadn't paid rent, and finally he came to lock them out. And when they called her to say that they were getting ready to do that, she came to get her things and told them, I don't know what y'all gonna do, I'm leaving. That doesn't sound like the characteristic of a mother, but it is what took place in this young man's life. And I promise you, he's not the only one. There are many who have that type of experience, and it causes them to be broken on the inside. And that is exactly what he said. He said he was broken, he was wounded that his mom could do that. Okay. So we're going to look at Eve, which was the first one y'all probably thought I would talk about. In that she was a mother. Some of the things that happened to her would have been being disobedient to God, but after that, she still was able, after being put out of the garden, she still reproduced and she multiplied in the earth. And so mothers, the term mother means a nurturer, a caregiver, someone who brings forth. And so if you've had the opportunity to bring forth, you want to thank God for that. And then you want to take care and nurture the child, um, which creates a healthy inner persons. This is something that is probably going to be controversial in nature. Matter of fact, I'm sure it is. You cannot be a successful mother and walk away from your ambition and try to balance it both. Something is going to go missing. Something is going to go missing. And in my childhood, I remember this lady. She said, I want to be a mother," and she wanted to have 12 children. Ugh, couldn't imagine that. 12 children, but it made her happy. And it was a joy. It was joyous for her to comb hair, joyous for her to um, uh, talk to them about what was going on in school. It was joyous for her to help them with homework. It was joyous. What we're having is a lot of mothers today that doesn't bring them joy. They are not enjoying the act of being a mother. They're not enjoying it. And I'm not saying that you can't do both, but I know that most of the times when we try to do both of them, things are left undone. So this is why we have some imbalance, okay? This is why we have some hurt and some pain that hasn't been resolved. Or the older child trying to be the mother because the mother has to go to work and the father is working. So the older child has to be the mother. That's a problem because the child needs an opportunity to be a child. Of course, it teaches you responsibility, but it also makes you miss out on the frolicking and the fun and the mistakes and the silliness that we do as children. And so, as much as we can, this was my dream. It hadn't happened, and maybe it will happen, but maybe it won't. I don't know. But it was my dream to be able to stay home, take care of my children, and have a nanny. That was my dream, so that she could help me with other things and I could give my time fully to my children. That was my dream. And I actually still believe that that's the best process. That you're gonna get married. Okay, hopefully we're married and not being single parents. And I know that that's a part of the life that we live today. But if we could have a husband who was there, like the one we were talking about last week, that was the provider. And the wife could be the homemaker. She could be successful in doing both, because I don't want nobody to say, well, you're trying to take us back to the old days. I'm trying to stop the sickness and the hurt and the pain that I see in people. And I'm trying to say that a lot of it starts in homes where parents are absent. I'm not saying don't work. I'm not saying don't get an education. I'm saying don't allow your ambition to make you be slothful in taking care of what God has given you from your body. That's so important. That's so important because the young people are looking for answers. They're looking in your face. They're staring. And when they're not looking at you and seeing the example, they're getting it on TV. They're getting it on the internet. They're getting it from their friends and their associates. And as a result of that, they're left to resolve and solve on their own with no experience. And so they get mindsets and fixed mindsets that have nothing to do with successful living. And that is why I'm saying what I'm saying. I also believe that there should be a time when we come together where the family is not, the extended family is not so disjointed. Because when mother can't be there, auntie could be there, or grandmother, or somebody could be there to make sure that the young child who is still learning and still developing is not left alone. That is the most fragile time of life between the age of born to 5 to 7. Those are formative years, and when they're left to take care of themselves or left to and not adhere to things, or not, they're not, nobody's paying attention to what's going on with them. This is the time that the enemy does his finest work. So um, this is the concern. Also, want to talk about Rebecca. Now, Rebecca was pregnant with Esau and Jacob. And I think I mentioned this earlier in one of the other lives. As a mother, she had a favorite, and that would have been Jacob. And the husband favored Esau. Esau was burly and had hair all on his arms, and he loved to hunt. He was a man's man. And Jacob was different. He liked to plant and grow things from the ground. He was not a hunter. So, but when she was pregnant, when Rebecca was pregnant, before she had had a hard time getting pregnant as well. But when she became pregnant, she was having trouble in her body. And the body was, showing like maybe she would have a miscarriage or something of that nature. You know what she did? She went to God. So, one of the other points I want to say, if you're a godly mother and you don't know what to do, go to God. If you don't know, don't ask the newspaper or the astrologies. Don't ask them. Ask God, and that is Rebecca did. Rebecca went to God and said, "This is Rebecca. I'm having trouble in my body. What's going on?" She wanted to know. A good mother want to know what is going on with the child, male or female. What's going on? And she asked the question, and God told her, it's because the twins are fighting. The younger one is going to be the leader, and the older one is going to have to follow the younger one. That's great information. And I am uncomfortable with saying that she tricked her husband to put the birth blessing, because God had already told her that that's how it was going to be. How it was to come to pass, I don't know. I just know that what came to pass is what God said. When I was teaching kindergarten, I used to watch my children so closely, and they're 5. and they would do certain things. Sometimes you would see a kid flipping. Sometimes you would see a kid playing like this on their desk. Sometimes you would see a kid building. They love to build, and one of the things they taught in undergrad is that when you watch children play, it'll tell you what they're supposed to be doing. Watching them play will tell you what they're supposed to do. Mothers, watch your children. What are they doing? How do they play? Do they cook? Or do they dance? Or are they flipping? Are they maybe going to be Olympic stars? Or are they always talking? Maybe they're going to be an attorney or a teacher. Or their play tells you their work, right? And so what I learned from watching them is that the young children, as soon as I could understand what I watched them do, I would tell the parents, I think she wants to be a Olympic star. I think she could be one. I think this one here wants to play basketball. It looks like this child is more interested in making things. You have to give them things to do with their hand. They're tactile. They like to touch and feel, right? Those are things that when you are paying attention as a mother, you would do. Well, Rebecca biblically wanted to know what's going on. She understood that her youngest son was going to be a leader. Some of you have had the glorious opportunity of giving birth to a leader. I was born with the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, which meant I was being choked. You know why? So that I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. So I wouldn't be able to talk, right? Now, here we are today. I am saying a good mother pays attention. Why? Because it prevents the child from going in a direction that they were not designed to go. You watch them. It prevents them from doing things that would cause disheartenment, sadness. Do you understand? I hope I'm being clear. And this is the kind of mother Rebecca was. Rebecca get a bad rap, but not in my book. She doesn't get a bad rap. She asked God what was supposed to happen, and that is what happened. Exactly what God said is what took place. Hannah was a woman who couldn't have children either. And instead of uh, blaming, you know what Hannah did? She went to God and she was quiet about it. We believe we have to pray real, real loud and mm-mm. They thought she was drunk because all they saw was her mouth moving. And she kept talking to God. Oh, and another thing I observed is that each time the woman couldn't get pregnant, you know who prayed? The father. The husband prayed that the wife would have child. God, can you see how God speaks that? Can you see how we work together? And because there were prayers that came forth from the man, God honored that. And here we have Hannah praying in the same way. And she came with child. I think what I would like for you to take away is that you cannot be successful in grooming a mental and emotional healthy child outside of your involvement, your personal involvement, and your reaching out to God, asking Him to help you. And guess what? He's so willing. He's so willing to help you. There he stands with his arms stretched wide open. And guess what? Even after you have made a mistake, you missed the mark as a mother, or you missed the mark as a father, and you have wounded children. Do you know restoration is present? Do you know that God will say, "It's okay. I'm here." And you reach out to him, and guess what he'll do? He'll give you the answers. He'll give you the solution so that you are victorious, so that the healing process will take place with your child, with you. Because most of the time, didn't know. The father didn't know. The mother didn't know. So not knowing could cause you to make some really bad mistakes. But restoration is our portion. And if we trust him and go to him like Rebecca did, God, what is this? What do you want me to do? When you go to him like that, guess what? Restoration is yours. I love you. I'm at my moment in time to stop. This is Prophet Monica Boney. I'm sending love your way. God is able. Bye now.